Arrancamos. Anthony from the Neighborhood en Latino Mixx. Dale play a tu bocina.
Bienvenidos al programa. Welcome. Saturday morning, 11 a.m. And here we are on your favorite program from the neighborhood. We get your weekend started. Comenzamos el fin de semana aquí con ustedes, hablando del vecindario y conociéndonos unos al otro. Y a veces tenemos la oportunidad de hablar tú y yo, solo aquí en la cabina, para que nos conocemos nosotros mismos. Y no solamente de mí, pero reflexionar en ti. So this is a time for you to reflect and basically think about, like, what is life like? Because we don't get to spend all the time together, just you and me by ourselves. But when we do, we have a lot of fun. And I always try to bring up a topic which, gets me going and gets me thinking about, what are some of the challenges that I have in life? What are some of the things that I can share with you guys that are going to help you guys improve your way of living? So, ¿cómo hay cosas que nosotros podemos pensar y compartir de que nos vaya a ayudar uno al otro? So, aquí estamos en este programa donde nosotros rompemos la barrera y nos hagamos conocer uno al otro, los vecinos, nuestros pensamientos, y así estamos más conectados con nuestra comunidad. So, this is a way for us to connect with our community by knowing ourselves, by knowing our neighbor, by seeing what's life like where you're putting on a different set of lenses. You're not looking at things the same way you do all the time, so we're breaking apart the preconceived notions, the stereotype. We're debunking the headlines and saying, hey, you know what? This guy right here, he's from this neighborhood. He's got this sort of energy. He's got this sort of insight, this mindset. I want to be like that. And you've got your own style. Everybody does. So let's embrace what's this style all about. And let's do that when we get together every single week and we talk about things on this program, especially with the amazing guests that we've had. So if you guys have listened to some of the previous episodes, we've had CEOs, small business operators. We're having people who are running nonprofits and having amazing organizations that are changing the landscape of what it's like in their neighborhood or what it's like to be from the neighborhood that they were from. So, señores, aquí estamos en un mundo lleno de colores y hay gente con mucha variedad de todas las cosas que han hecho en su vida y la están poniendo aquí al aire. Y si usted es una persona que tiene una buena historia, comunícase conmigo. Get in touch with me and tell me about your story from the neighborhood. That's it. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, the website, jump on there and say, hey, you know what? I want to be part of the show. I want to tell you my story. I want to share with you what it is that I'm doing. And it could be something in your community. It could be something in business, your own life. Let's get the background. Let's get this backstory of who you are. What brought you to where you are? And where are you going? What's happening in this world? And let's get to know one another on this one platform which allows you to be heard by your neighbors and beyond and bring us together. So esta es la plataforma, el lugar donde ustedes pueden conocer el vecino y hacerse ser más conectado con el mundo, más conectado con su comunidad y mucho más allá. Nosotros estamos aquí en Latino Mixx and there's a lot of opportunity for you to get involved with the station. Let me tell you about one. Advertising. So if you guys have any business in getting yourself out there, if you guys have a product or service, you guys want it to be heard, get on here. You can reach out to me directly, again, from the neighborhood, wherever it is that makes you feel comfortable, social media, or on the website itself, and we'll help you out. We'll connect you with the team, and they'll get your business known by all the people in your community. And guess what? That's a boost in your business. So go ahead and support us, and we'll support you by developing a program that's going to fit you just right. And if you guys like the stuff that I'm wearing, or you like the neighborhoods that I'm mentioning, jump on the store through fromtheneighborhood.com. You guys can pick yourself up a sweatshirt, hoodie, and all that other cool stuff. Today's topic is going to be an interesting one. So if you like what happened today, I'm going to have to make up a shirt for it because this one's about mindset. I've had this conversation with you guys before. Hemos entrado a las mentes de nosotros anteriormente y hoy lo voy a hacer de nuevo. Ya que estamos nosotros dos solos, vamos a hablar de qué pasa en tu mente, qué decisiones tú estás haciendo y cómo puedo yo ayudarte en tomar decisiones que usted se siente cómoda y la tome rápida. So, quick decisions, how to do them, how to get through them, how to feel comfortable with them. That's the topic for today. And as I said, guys, we've got a lot going on here and we've got a lot of topics that we're going to be covering. But as I go into these topics, I like to jump over to some pretty cool songs. And, making a decision, well, that's a tough situation. It's hard to find yourself in a place where you feel comfortable with side A or B or choice A, choice B. Muchas veces las situaciones no te dan muchas opciones en la mesa. Usted tiene que decidir rápido y no sabe si va a ser correcto o incorrecto. No te sientes seguros. But at the end of the day, you know what, guys? We're all going to be in this situation. So I'm going to start off with some classic jams, and this is going to be Yazoo with their jam, Situation.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.
Okay, and we're back here. And in this program, we were talking about decision making, haciendo decisiones. And it's so difficult to make decisions when we have so many of them to make in one day. I can't believe the amount of decisions that we make in one day, and we don't even realize it. So a lot of times we feel like, you know what, today I am disconnecting. Me voy a desconectar, no voy a hacer decisiones de nada, lo voy a coger suave. Solamente me voy a sentar aquí, me voy a tomar una cervecita, una fría. Right? And you might think that's, well, if I'm just going to sit here and have a drink, it's not really a decision. Well, guess what? That was a decision. And on average, it is estimated that the average adult is making about 35,000 decisions each single day. And that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, if you're deciding on food, like I just said, you're just going to have a drink, you're probably making somewhere around 226 of these decisions just on what you're going to eat. And what you're going to drink, that's a combination. So imagine how many decisions are running through your mind when it comes to just simply feeding yourself. How about getting dressed? Si uno se va a vestir, uno piensa si esa ropa combina con esta o combina con la otra. Uno no está seguro. Y ahí van decisiones y más decisiones. Y uno se puede fatigar. You can actually become fatigued from making so many decisions. So a lot of the times we make decisions for different reasons, right? But each one of them requires your thought. And sometimes you have to think of it analytically. You have to really analyze numbers. You have to figure out, some sort of strategy, una estrategia para ver si estos números se cuadran para tomar esa decisión. But sometimes you're just going with the flow. And there's actually a few definitions for this. So I'm going to read them off to you real quick. One of them is impulsiveness. And that's basically the first option that gets it done, right? You feel empowered that this is the one that you're going to go for, and you almost pulled into it. And some of them are just a compliance decision, which is compliance. Well, it could be following the rules, siguiendo las reglas, right? Cumpliendo. Or sometimes it's just the one that's most pleasing, most comfortable to you. So are you complying with yourself? So muchas veces la persona dice, no quiero hacer ejercicio. So you decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit back and relax, watch a movie. Well, guess what? You're doing the most pleasing, most comfortable, probably the most popular option. You're doing a Netflix and chill versus a sit up, a workout and push up. That's a lot of work. And a lot of folks say, you know what? Let me go with something that complies with me. And then there's sometimes of not making the decision at all, but you're pushing it on to somebody else. And this is where you basically say, you know what? I'm going to delegate. Voy a pasar esta decisión a otro. Y cuando uno hace eso, uno está tomando la decisión de que uno no va a participar y que lo que hace otro está bien conmigo. So in other words, we delegate decisions all the time. Say when we're taking a trip, we're not the ones handling the plane. We're just basically going with what the pilot's best decisions were. But we decided to get on the plane. As far as flying it, we're delegating that. So we got to think about, are we delegating or are we participating? Then there's the avoidance. And this is where you basically avoid or ignore a decision. In other words, you don't want any responsibility for it. You're not consciously delegating it. You're just basically ignoring it. You feel like this is too much. This is too much. I just don't know what to do. It's overwhelming. So you avoid it. You avoid having to participate in that function, in that decision. And there's balancing, which is something that we probably do a lot when we're buying two products. Cuando estamos viendo dos productos, mirando uno el otro, uno dice, bueno, este me cuesta tanto. ¿Cuántas onzas traen el content? O sea, 16 onzas por $2 o 32 onzas por $3. Bueno, aquí estoy consiguiendo el doble por $1 más. No estoy pagando el doble, pero estoy consiguiendo el doble. Lo voy a balancear, lo voy a comparar, me voy a llevar uno. So you count the ounces in a container. You say, well, I'm getting double, 16 versus 32, but I'm only paying $1 more. I'm not paying twice as much. I'm saving. So you balance it out, you compare, and you decide to take one. And then there's the other one where you prioritize and you start reflecting on the decision, which is, in my opinion, the most amount of energy. And I honestly get stuck in a lot of this space, this prioritizing and reflecting, because you kind of play the fortune teller. And this is a very tricky space to be in. I'm going to tell you right now, because you're playing this role where you're trying to say, which one has the greatest impact? So now you're taking decisions or decisions you expect to have, and you're placing them in order, meaning which is the first decision that can have a domino effect onto the others. So piénsalo bien, si usted está tomando decisiones sobre tus decisiones, ahora está dando una prioridad sobre la otra, para ver si afectan una con la otra como si fuera un juego de dominó. Alinear las fichas y tumba una y tumba todas las otras. That doesn't always happen. The most amount of energy goes in this space. It can be very exhausting because you're playing fortune teller. And in this case, you really have to try to see, does it matter? Does it really matter that I make decisions in this sort of way? Does it really help me to make decisions in this sort of way? I mean, can I just find a way that if I make a decision, it's like, poof, you know, it's automatic. It just comes to me. Like if I said abracadabra, boom, there it is. Problem resolved, decision is made, and everything is fine. Well, it isn't like that. For many professionals actually who seek to become efficient decision making, if you're really good at it, it could actually mean the difference between getting promoted or getting a pink slip. So usted tiene unas decisiones que hacer y eres muy bueno en eso, en el trabajo específicamente, te van a mirar como una persona donde todo el mundo debe mirar y debe de buscar la respuesta correcta. Y ahí te pueden dar la promoción. Y si no eres muy bueno, bueno, tal vez no te ve tan valioso en el lugar de trabajo y te entregan lo que es un pink slip diciendo que ya no puede trabajar ahí. O sea, adiós. Se acabó el trabajo. So we have to think about this. Becoming a very good decision maker is an important skill. And you really want to become better at it with time. So you have to practice. So having 35,000 decisions on average per day might be a good thing. And it might be good to participate in some of these versus delegating or avoiding them. This might be good. I mean, it's not magic. We're not going to find the solution to every single one. But there are some things that I can walk you through that can help you understand what you can do so that these decisions become a lot easier. Because, again, we don't have magic. We don't have this solution for everything. No hay un polvo mágico que uno se lo echa a lo que sea y te cura todo. Usted escucha todos esos comerciales que le dicen, esta patilla le cubre diabetes, diarrea, caída de cabello, depresión, todas esas cosas, y al final no hace nada, right? We've all heard those magic pills that cure everything under the sun. But at the end of the day, they do nothing. So it does require some conscious participation. And this skill is something you can develop just like any other muscle. And we're constantly developing it because as we get older, we're finding ourselves with more important decisions. Decisions that move mountains. Decisions that affect our family and the generations to come. So yeah, there is a lot of pressure in making decisions. La presión no se va a ir. La magia no va a llegar de un lugar donde tú puedes decir unas palabras y boom, ya se arregló todo. It doesn't happen that way. But we wish it did. So in that light, I guess I will say a few words. I don't know, maybe I can say presto or, like I said, abracadabra, and the words will just come out of my mouth and the decision will be made, or maybe not. But I know the Steve Miller Band has a song with that, Abracadabra. Let's take a quick break and jump to them. Let's go.
De regreso con Anthony from the Neighborhood.
Abracadabra, así mismo fuera las decisiones de todo el mundo, así, todo hecho. That doesn't happen that way, guys. And as I've just mentioned before, there's different thought processes when it comes to making decisions. And if you didn't catch that, by the way, you can jump on Latino Mixx and catch the on-demand, hit rewind, and catch it there. So this video is going to exist on our website, and we've got tons of others. Make sure to go back into the archives, catch the videos of those amazing notables that were on this program, and obviously what you just missed. So if you didn't catch it, go right back to those tips that I gave you before on decision making and the processes that go through our head. So we're talking about 35,000 decisions on average for an adult here in the US. That's what was calculated. Now, how do we start? ¿Cómo es que comenzamos en estas 35,000 decisiones que hagamos al diario? ¿Cómo decidimos en cualquiera de ellas? How do we know? What do we do? Well, here's what I'm going to say. First of all, what is the objective of what decision we have in front of us? ¿Cuál es el objetivo? Estamos tomando una decisión, pero ¿para qué? So we're making a decision, right? We're going to take this on, we're going to make this decision, but for what? So I'll give you a real simple one. You want to have a bowl of cereal and it's Fruit Loops or Cheerios. Well, the outcome is going to be pretty much the same, whichever one you pick. You're going to be full, right? You're going to have a full stomach and you're going to have a satisfied appetite. But how about for other decisions? Big ones. And what you really want to ask yourself is, what are we really trying to do here? Are we just trying to fill our belly? Or are we trying to change something in the world, in our company, in our household? I mean, in my future? I don't know. So ask yourself, what are we trying to do here? And if it's something simple, like you're just going to eat something, then that's easy, right? Si vas a comer, eso es sencillo. ¿Qué es lo que estamos haciendo? Voy a comer. Te puede llenar el estómago con lo que usted desea y siguen adelante. Pero si es una decisión más grande que allá, o sea, algo que vaya a tomar consecuencias a tu familia, a tu compañía o mucho más allá, piénsalo y diga, ¿qué es lo que estamos tratando de cumplir? So what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to accomplish? This is very important, and I'm going to go through just about 7 steps which help you identify this decision, right? And then figure out, well, how should I think about it? And we're going to talk about big decisions, not the small ones. Not like what clothing am I going to wear or so forth, but you may want to consider it. I mean, if you have a mix of activities for the day, you may want to say, hey, I want something a little more casual, right, in terms of footwear, because I may have to walk a lot, but I still want it to look good. So that might be part of your decision making. But again, what is the problem, or what are we trying to do here? What's the problem that needs to be solved? And basically your goal, right? And how are you going to measure what leads to success, right? How is that looked upon? So start gathering information. Comienza a colectar información cuando usted toma esas decisiones o vas a tomar la decisión. Busca información histórica, información de tu gente alrededor. Busca de dónde puede encontrar algo que tal vez te dé influencia, te dé ideas, inspiración, para que tome una decisión de la mejor posible. Y busca alternativas. So that's actually the third one, is alternatives. So now once you figured out what you want and you've identified it, and you looked for sources of information, you look for people to inspire you, and you looked for things that just really make sense into this decision-making process. Now look for alternative solutions, because sometimes you say, yes, let's go with it. Let's make this purchase, whatever be the case. And then, I don't know, the manufacturer doesn't have any more of that material. And you have to decide on another product. So start looking for alternatives, especially if you're in a team, right? If you're in a team, or, you know, whether it's a baseball team or your office team, you might need alternatives there to just make sure it goes forward. Like we're here. Estamos aquí en Latino Mixx y el show tiene que seguir. And sometimes we have problems while we're doing a show, but the show must go on. So we've got to figure out, hey, what's an alternate ending to this story, right? Because the show must go on. So you got to find alternative solutions. And for that, sometimes you want to look at, like, what does somebody in another department have to say? Because it might be somebody who just simply listens to the program, as in our case, and they may have a great suggestion. This is why I ask you guys to always reach out. Shoot me a message on Instagram, or go right on the Latino Mixx page, or go onto the website and just shoot me a message and just say, hey, you know what? I would love to hear a show about this topic. You might just be part of our decision-making process here, where we have this alternate solution, this alternate ending to the way the show runs. So now when you have all of this, you want to weigh this. You want to say, is this the right way to go? If we had to go with the alternate, or if I didn't go with this choice and I went with my original choice, if I continued on the path that I thought was correct versus someone else's, you want to start weighing that out. And remember, these are the big decisions. We're not talking about Fruit Loops and Cheerios. Estamos hablando de las decisiones grandes. Ponle peso a la evidencia que he encontrado. Hazte una lista y ponle una raya así por el medio del papel. Lo positivo y lo negativo. The pros and the cons. Do a line right down the middle of the paper, pros and cons, list them out and see if that works. There's also other things that's called the SWOT analysis. There's decision matrix. I'm not going to get into that right now, but if you Google any of this stuff, SWOT analysis or decision making matrix or something like that. I know it's decision matrix. Well, anyway, type those into Google. You're going to see there's a whole bunch of things on making decisions. You might even have to make a decision about which way you want to go about analyzing this decision. So again, 35,000 is very easy to get to. I know a lot of us have trouble getting to 10,000 steps. Well, guess what? If you didn't take those steps, you just made another decision. So it's very easy to get to 35,000. So now, when it comes to the alternatives that you find and the options that are out there, you may also want to go ahead and figure to yourself, well, the right decision is not an alternative. It possibly is an alternative, but how about if none of this worked out? Do I decide to continue on or even quit? Right? This is where you have to really say to yourself, am I committed to this or not? Because there's some decisions where you say, you know what? I'm just going to make it. And if it works out, it works out. If it didn't, it didn't. And I'm still going to be here where I am. But if you made a decision to fly a plane, well, you don't have a choice whether or not you want to land. So you have to, at this point, say, you know what? This is the airplane I was given. This is the co-pilot they gave me. These are my alternate choices, not my first ones, but we're in the air. And with these guys, this plane, this co-pilot, this is the team I have to land this thing. And that's how I'm going to see the next day. So you have to really commit. Este es el punto donde usted se tiene que decidir y decir, ya, hasta aquí es que llegué. Yo voy a tomar acción. And this is when you start making decisions, when you have your plan. This is your action plan. This is when you start to execute. And at the end of the day, when you do a decision, the way to learn is then reflect. You made the decision and then you reflect and you say to yourself, you know what? I get it. I get where I went wrong. I get where it made sense. Now, not every decision, as I said, is made this way. No todas decisiones se van a decidir así, no se van a hacer así, porque hay decisiones que son racional, como decir decisiones que van relativo a cosas que son absolutas, como decir la gravedad. Si tiro una piedra al cielo, va a bajar. Tal vez no debe tirar una piedra, right? Porque alguien se puede golpear, so you decide not to play with a rock, because absolutes, such as gravity, are going to come into reality. But then there's decisions like intuitive decisions that you decide, let me look inside myself, right? And these creative decisions and so on and so forth. I mean, decision making can become an obsession. Se vuelve una obsesión. ¿Cómo es que debo decidir? Te puedes sentir como que te sientes trancado. I've had that feeling, guys, where you feel like you're locked up. You just don't know what to do. You don't know where to go, how to start. And this is, well, believe it or not, another decision. We can't escape decisions. And truly, if we get into the conversation of every decision we've ever made throughout the day, it will sound like you're obsessed. Like you literally have an obsession, like you're going crazy with this. You never thought of anything more than being in a decision. And it could leave you to a point where you're motionless. You feel stagnant. So don't let that happen to you guys. Continue your normal flow, but just be observant of your decisions and think, let me look at my thought process in making this decision. Deja ver mi proceso de pensamiento cuando voy a tomar una decisión. ¿Cuál es? Because you want to keep in motion, right? And you know what? There's another better way to put it, and it's in music. So I'm going to go with a quick jam right here. It's Animotion with the song Obsession. Let's go.
De regreso con Anthony from the neighborhood.
Yeah. I took it back to 1984 with Animotion and Obsession. And this is basically a classic. I know a lot of people probably haven't heard it. I did. And I used to love this song. Back then, there was a lot of this kind of music that ones I've been playing today that, I don't know, they just have this funky beat that just make you want to wear the headbands, the leg warmers, and do aerobics. It's that kind of music. Señores, nosotros estamos aquí, obviamente, en el programa From the Neighborhood. Siempre tenemos música clásica y ahí traemos una del 1984. So, si ustedes recuerdan ese tiempo donde las personas tenían otro tipo de ropa. Yo sé que ahora tenemos una moda bien mezclada. But the 80s were something special. The 80s and 90s, they all had like their own sort of style. I mean, we got a lot of the neon colors started popping up. And you guys remember that. And the tie-dye shirts, all that crazy stuff. So now, let's get back to this conversation on decisions, because obviously I hope you make a better decision on your wardrobe, depending on where you're going. You want to dress up the part. So when it comes to decision making, cuando llega al punto de decisiones, nosotros queremos mirar a quién tenemos a nuestro alrededor que le puedo pedir consejo. So seek out wisdom and knowledge. When you got people nearby you, well, ask them. It's nothing better than advice. I think, what is it? Pitbull, he says, get advice, you get paid twice, something like that. And it's true. It really is. It really is. If you're surrounded by more experienced professionals who have done what you're about to do, or have gone a little further along the journey, getting to where they want to get to, well, they could tell you something. They can give you some advice. Ask them questions. I mean, they're there. They're there exactly for that. They would love to see that somebody is admiring what they're doing and wants to follow their footsteps. Don't let pride or proving what you are or who you are or who you think you are, right? Don't try to show like you're all under control. Just humble yourself and go up to these folks and see them as great resources that are right there around you at your disposal, that are looking to be of assistance. Y cualquier persona que está ahí afuera, que está haciendo algo, ellos van a querer compartir eso contigo. Ellos no son personas que lo quieren aguantar para sí mismo. Eso no son los tipos de personas de tu alrededor. Especialmente si es algo en que tú estás lanzando tu negocio y estás pensando aprender de otro, de que ya tenga su negocio o lleva más tiempo en su trabajo. Esa sería una persona con quien usted debe hablar. And reach out to them. Seek out that wisdom, seek out that knowledge. And know that in your decision-making process, it does not have to be perfect. Not at all. When you're making a decision, do not overthink it. That's why I played the song. Because it will become an obsession. If you overthink it and you start trying to figure out what's the perfect plan, the real plans are always imperfect. There's that magic everyone talks about. The folks who've been on this program have all talked about a specific magic, una magia, un espíritu, una energía que anda, que se inyecta a los planes de ellos y le echa para adelante. This is what I'm talking about. You've got to let a little bit of the wildness exist. No decision is going to be perfect. Run with what's imperfect and just feel confident, which is probably one of the biggest things in your decision-making process, is being confident about the decision you just made. Being comfortable with it. You want to be able to move forward. And if you guys have a problem with the decision you make, I mean, si algo pasó y no te gustó el efecto, you didn't like the result. Bueno, es una decisión y usted puede darle reversa. Le puede hacer algún cambio, le puede hacer un ajuste. You can make adjustments. You can go back into your decision. You can admit you're wrong and say, you know what, it didn't work out. So just make the adjustment. And the sooner you make it, the better. So, muchas veces uno se siente con un cliente, le va hablando a ellos con, no sé, con respecto a una estrategia que van a tomar. Y alguna vez el cliente quiere hacer las cosas de su manera y uno lo deja porque se siente incómodo así, pero le está diciendo, esto va contra mi consejo como profesional. But you give them a chance. But you let them know, we have to adjust early. Right? If this isn't working out, I'm the professional. You hired me for this reason. Here it goes. And you may be the professional. You might mess up. But make your changes quick. I think the best thing you can do is make some decision of some sort and then go back and adjust because it shows how fast you learn. Ajustando tu decisión temprano muestra lo inteligente que tú eres, lo ágil, lo listo. Usted le pone pilas a la cosa y de una vez se da cuenta que estoy por tomar un error. Me estoy sintiendo mal sobre esto. Voy a hacer unos cambios y lo hace inmediatamente. Y últimamente le digo a las personas, controla lo que puedes controlar. Control what you can control. That's another piece of advice I'm going to give you guys. It is very important that you know when you're making decisions, you don't have the power over everything. Again, I mentioned it before, it doesn't have to be perfect. So obviously you don't control all parts of the decision-making process. You might make one part of the decision, but maybe you need to stay out of the space for a little while and let it run on its own. And this will help you relieve some stress. This will help you stay focused on what really matters. But if it's something that goes out of the way, and it really gets crazy, just let it get crazy. Just know that, hey, you know what? I can't control that. You might have planned the best party in the world and it decided to rain that day. You can't control that. Try to make fun of whatever it is that's happening. I know it can be very difficult. It's a stressful process, especially when you had the right planning and the right strategy in place and boom, it just doesn't work out. But you know what? This is part of getting that muscle to be stronger. Eso es parte de que ese músculo de tomar decisiones sea más fuerte, más resistente. Es que tú, bueno, como dicen en inglés, go with the flow. Y controla lo que puedes controlar. Lo que no puedes controlar, mejor déjalo pasar. And this will really help you out a lot, especially when you're making this decision-making process and it's the impulsive type of decisions. When you start saying, hey, you know what? I have this feeling, I have this passion, I got caught up in this thing. Those are tough decisions to walk away from, and sometimes you just do. Sometimes you just have to really just feel, you know what? At the end of the day, I know it was a decision, I know it mattered a lot, but it wasn't as important. Sometimes just showing up, say you had an event, you just showed up to the event, and that made it really, really matter. So all this can happen at work. It can happen in your life, in any sort of way, family life, sports life, social life, anything. But we basically have to narrow it down to just a few things. And one is that whatever we do, we have to have a clear goal. We have to have some clear milestones because you're only going to make the right decision if you know where you're going. And we have to prioritize and plan that. I discussed it before. We definitely have to take these these decisions and put them in order. Which are the best and which are the worst, which are the most important, which ones are not. And you know what? Sometimes the most difficult decisions are the ones you want to do first. So las decisiones difíciles son las que hay que atender primero. Si usted te despierta por la mañana y atiende las decisiones difíciles y no las está aguantando hasta el momento perfecto que tú te sientes concentrado, pues mejor. La elimina de tu cuerpo y te sientes más aliviado. No carga ese peso. You don't carry that weight around of the most difficult decision. I think something's called eat the frog, I think they say it. Right, eat the frog. I think that's what it is. If you do that, then you know what? You've conquered the most difficult, the most horrible decision probably. The one that really gets into your gut. You did that one first and you got it out of your system and you said, you know what? At least I did my part for the day. It's done. But again, beware of your limitations. Know what you can control. Don't stress out. Just bring this gameplay every day to your workplace, to your social life, to your sports life. Whatever it is that you have, the many lives that we live, las muchas vidas que tengamos, lleva ese pensamiento. Y sepa que esas cosas que usted trae, de tomar decisiones, ese pensamiento que tú llevas, te puede ayudar a sobrevivir sobre el día, porque todos los días no son iguales. No two work days are the same. Most of the time, I mean, we're just showing up and that's it, right? So we really have to look at it and say, you know what? I put in my best. I did my best. And here's how. And I've got a process for it. And I got to say, guys, if you really want to not exhaust yourself on the decision-making process, try to make some routines. Every day you wake up, you don't think about brushing your teeth or taking a shower or going to the restroom. But you know what? Your body actually has its own routine. Don't fight it. Get into a routine that you know is going to be adapting to you. It's going to be compatible with you. So there's certain times where you might say, you know what? This is the time of day for social media, because I'm going to decide that at this time of the day is when I pay attention to my phone. And this time of the day is when I watch television. This time of the day is when I work out. And again, control what you can control. So if it doesn't happen, hey, it didn't happen. But don't go stressed out. Remember, this is your life. You've got a big life to live. And you just don't want to take it up on the millions and thousands, the 35,000 decisions that you have to make. You really don't want to take it up on that. You really want to let yourself be loose, because you've got a rhythm in your life. That's what routines do. They give you a little bit of a rhythm, a little flow, where you know, hey, you know what, weekend's here. You get this energy. You feel like it's in the air, and it's something that you create. That internal clock of yours, it knows what's happening. Ese reloj interno ya sabe lo que pasa porque tú le estás creando un ritmo, una rutina. So trata de hacer eso para que no te sientes tan fatigado sobre las miles de decisiones que tiene que tomar diario. It's my tip for you guys, and I really hope it's something that's going to help you stay here with me from the neighborhood, in your community, so that they can see you as who you really are. Not a fatigued, super tired, overly stressed decision maker. Trying to control what they can't control, trying to take on more than they should. Just do the best you can. And then, truthfully, people will see you for who you are, because you're going to give that its space. And that's what I take away from all this decision-making process. And you're listening to somebody here who has to make a lot of decisions in the day. I don't know if it's more than yours, but man, it's fatiguing. It's tiring. Te agota tomar tantas decisiones. Y te lo digo de mi corazón, te lo digo de mi propia experiencia, de todas las decisiones que tengo que tomar, todas las gorras que me tengo que poner, todos los uniformes que me tengo que echar encima para pasar mi día. Eso lo tengo que hacer yo. Por eso le paso yo este consejo, porque lo quiero ver como un vecino que es de este vecindario. I want to see you guys as somebody here from this neighborhood, and I want you to stay here for as long as possible. Don't let the stress get you. Don't let the craziness of the world get you. That's just simply what it is. So, hasta la próxima. Until next time, we're going to spend a great time here together. I've got actually some great guests coming up, so make sure to catch us next week. We've got an amazing episode. But until then, hasta ese tiempo, lo voy a ver a ustedes en el vecindario, and I will be seeing you guys back in the neighborhood. And don't forget, put a rhythm into your life, because I'm going to let you off with this song here from Corona Iced MC, The Rhythm of the Night. Let's go.
Anthony from the Neighborhood, el único programa que saca las estrellas de cada bloque para compartir sus historias y experiencias en lo que es negocio, la familia y la comunidad. Cubrimos las calles que te hacen From the Neighborhood.